What if the Visigoths weren't really a thing? We imagine barbarian tribes as ancient peoples, distinct bloodlines stretching back centuries, but Visigoths might have been more like a brand name than a family tree. Rome may have invented these tribal identities, and the tribes played along. This matters beyond ancient history. Right? These invented identities were later weaponized by Nazi ideology to construct myths of Aryan racial purity. Understanding how ethnic identities form and who benefits from them remains urgent today. So let's start with a battle that changed everything. Adrianople, 378 CE. Rome suffered one of its worst military defeats. The victors, Romans, called them Visigoths. But what did that label mean to the people themselves? Did they think of themselves as Visigoths before Rome named them? Above the clan level, small family groups, how did people understand themselves as part of larger tribes? The answer, they probably didn't. Before Roman contact, these were loose networks of clans, no unified identity, no shared origin story. Rome's bureaucratic empire needed to categorize outsiders, so Rome created categories. This process has a name, ethnogenesis, from the Greek ethnos, meaning people, and genesis, meaning birth, the birth of an ethnic identity. Here's how it worked. Rome needed identifiable groups to negotiate treaties, pay tributes, assign military contracts, so Rome assigned tribal names. The groups responded by inventing what scholars call fictive kinship, stories of common ancestors, shared origins, mythic founders. This wasn't biological reality. DNA wouldn't confirm these family relationships. It was narrative construction, and it served everyone's interests. Barbarian leaders gained legitimacy by claiming to speak for a unified people. Rome gained negotiating partners. Religious difference reinforced the new identities. Many groups adopted Arianism, a Christian heresy, specifically to distinguish themselves from Roman Catholics, not because of theological conviction, because difference creates identity. The feedback loop strengthened. Rome names a group, the group performs their identity. Rome treats them as unified, the group becomes more unified. Here's where it gets complicated. Most evidence comes from Roman sources. Romans had their own reasons to categorize and sometimes exaggerate tribal unity. We're seeing barbarian identity through Roman eyes. This creates a fundamental problem. We can't fully know how these groups understood themselves. We only know how Rome understood them, and Rome needed them to be coherent tribes. The categories may tell us more about Roman bureaucracy than barbarian reality. A modern parallel illuminates this dynamic. Today, Native American tribes seeking federal recognition must prove authentic ethnic identity. The stakes are enormous. Tax-exempt status, casino rights, sovereignty. Tribes must document continuous community, shared ancestry, distinct culture, all for an external authority. This reveals something fundamental. Identity is always partly performed and documented for those with power to recognize it. Just as tribes today must satisfy federal criteria, ancient groups had to satisfy Roman categories. The process of proving identity shapes the identity itself. The dark legacy demands attention. 19th and 20th century German nationalism seized on these ancient Germanic peoples. They constructed myths of racial purity, Aryan ancestry, unbroken bloodlines stretching back millennia. The Nazis weaponized ethnogenesis in reverse, treating invented identities as biological facts. They used scholarship about Visigoths and Vandals to justify genocide. The key lesson, false ideas carry tremendous historical force. The Visigoths may have been a Roman administrative category, but that category, misunderstood as racial truth, contributed to the Holocaust. So if these identities were invented, how did barbarians actually enter Rome? Not primarily through violent conquest. The popular image, barbarian hordes smashing through Roman walls, is mostly myth. The reality, accommodation, they came as federati, federated armies allied with Rome as refugees seeking safety from other groups, as negotiated settlers with legal agreements. Rome developed the hospitality system called hospitalitas. Roman landowners shared tax revenue with barbarian troops. A senator in Burgundy might give Burgundian soldiers 1/3 of his tax collections. The Burgundian example makes this concrete. Picture a Roman estate. The senator keeps 2/3 of tax revenue. Burgundian soldiers receive 1/3, and this wasn't charity, it was military contract. The soldiers provided defense. The senator kept his land and most of his income. Partnership, not pillage. This arrangement spread across the Western Empire. Visigoths in Gaul, Ostrogoths in Italy, Vandals in North Africa. The fall of Rome looks less like conquest and more like a hostile corporate merger with negotiated severance packages. When you hear tribal identity or ethnic group, ancient or modern, ask 3 questions. Who created this category? Who benefits from it? What work does the identity perform? Identity is always partly constructed, but constructed identities have real consequences. The Visigoths may have been a Roman invention, a bureaucratic category that became a self-fulfilling prophecy, but they still sacked Rome in 410 CE. That's the power of identity, even invented identity. It shapes how people organize, fight, negotiate, and remember. The lesson isn't that ethnic identities are fake and therefore meaningless. The lesson is that they are constructed and therefore powerful. Understanding how identities form is the first step toward understanding how they can be used and misused.